Here's a major development making waves right now. The Verge AI is reporting on China delivers a 1-2 punch to America's AI dominance. The key detail you need to know is China's leading AI companies are ramping up the pressure on Silicon Valley. As Moonshot and Alibaba unveiled models they claim can go toe-to-toe with the best from OpenAI and Anthropic at a fraction of the cost. The rapid-fire releases suggest America's lead at the AI frontier is increasingly tight, just as the technology is becoming a number 8230. What's fascinating here is the timing. This comes as the industry is at an inflection point, and moves like this one could accelerate the timeline in ways that weren't expected even 6 months ago. The pace of capability improvement has been relentless, but what's changing now is how quickly those capabilities are being translated into real-world products. The research to deployment cycle that used to take years is now taking months, and in some cases weeks. That compression has enormous consequences for every industry that involves information, creativity, or decision-making, which is to say nearly every industry. The people who will thrive in this environment are the ones who can separate the signal from the noise, stay grounded in what's actually working, and move decisively when the right moments arrive. Stay tuned. This story is likely to develop further, and we'll keep you updated. This story caught our attention today, and it should catch yours too. AI News is reporting on U.S. public health agencies to test OpenAI and Anthropic AI models. What makes this significant is public health departments across the United States will test generative AI tools under a new program involving the Coalition for Health AI, OpenAI, Anthropic, and Accenture. The public health use case and learning scaling engine, known as Pulse, will support trials in 10 state, local, tribal, or territorial jurisdictions. The program is intended to produce, and number 8230 the post-U.S. public health agencies to test OpenAI and Anthropic AI models appeared first on AI News. It's worth pausing to consider the second and third order effects here. Beyond the immediate news, this creates ripple effects across the ecosystem that we'll be watching closely. New capabilities at the model layer unlock new possibilities at the application layer, which in turn creates new demand at the infrastructure layer. It's a compounding cycle, and each turn of the flywheel tends to happen faster than the last. That's what makes this moment in AI genuinely different from the hype cycles of the past. The underlying technology is actually improving at a rate that justifies the attention. The trick is staying calibrated, excited enough to move quickly, skeptical enough to avoid chasing things that don't deliver real value. That balance is what separates the teams making meaningful progress from the ones just making noise. This is exactly the kind of move that shapes where AI is headed and why staying informed matters. Here's what's happening right now in the world of AI. AI News is reporting on Kimi K3 open-weight model. China's biggest AI is a bet on memory, not compute. What makes this significant is Moonshot AI number 8217. Kimi K3 open-weight model has been read almost entirely through its parameter count since its TAN number 160, launched in July 16th. At 2.8 trillion parameters, it is the largest open-weight model released to date. Model sizes are usually grouped into rough brackets, and 2.8 trillion rounds into what the industry calls the 3T class. A tier no, and number 8230 the post-Kimi K3 open-weight model. China number 8217. Biggest AI is a bet on memory, not compute appeared first on AI News. Context is everything with a story like this. The players involved, the timing, and the technical details all point to something more strategic than it might appear on the surface. These announcements rarely happen in a vacuum. They're responses to competitive moves, signals to investors and partners, attempts to set the agenda for where the conversation goes next. Reading the subtext is as important as reading the headline. What's being communicated about priorities? What does this tell us about where the hard technical problems are being solved? What doors does this open that were previously closed? Those are the questions we're always asking, and they're why we think this story deserves more than a passing glance. The AI space is moving fast, but the most important developments reward careful attention. If you found this interesting, there's more where that came from. Keep watching for our daily breakdowns. You are going to want to hear this one. MIT Tech Review AI is reporting on AI is more likely than humans to form biases when hiring. The key detail you need to know is the next time you apply for a job, AI may screen your resume before any human sees it. But there's good reason to question whether AI will judge you fairly. Researchers already know that LLMs pick up human biases from their training data. New research suggests that LLMs can also develop their own biases from man number 8230. For anyone building on top of AI right now, this is exactly the kind of signal you need to factor into your roadmap. The landscape is shifting, and knowing why matters as much as knowing what. The surface-level story is interesting, but the deeper story is about where the leverage points are, which teams are executing with real conviction, and which trends have genuine durability versus which ones are hype cycles that will fade. Our job on this channel is to help you cut through the noise and focus on what actually matters. And developments like this one, when you put them in the full context of what's happening across the industry, are telling us something important about where we're headed. Pay attention to the pattern, not just the individual data point. If you found this interesting, there's more where that came from. Keep watching for our daily breakdowns. This one is a big deal, and here's why. TechCrunch AI is reporting on can an Apple lawsuit derail OpenAI's hardware plans. What makes this significant is on the latest episode of Equity, we debate whether Apple's lawsuit will cast over OpenAI's much-discussed plans to get into hardware and go public. This kind of development doesn't happen in isolation. It signals a larger trend that has been building for months, and today's announcement is likely just the beginning of what's coming. When you look at the velocity of releases, the amount of capital flowing into this space, and the caliber of talent working on these problems, it's clear we're still in the early innings. Each new capability unlocks a new category of applications that simply weren't possible before. Developers are already building on top of these foundations, and the things they're creating are going to surprise people. The most important thing you can do right now is stay informed and stay curious, because the gap between those who understand these tools and those who don't is going to matter more and more. If you found this interesting, there's more where that came from. Keep watching for our daily breakdowns. This story caught our attention today, and it should catch yours too. The Verge AI is reporting on I Hate That I Don't Hate This song made with Suno. What's actually going on here is I would never go so far as to say there's no place for AI in music. I'm a fan of Holly Herndon, after all. But I generally find music made with generative AI to be offensively boring, especially the outputs of Suno. So I'm having a bit of a tough time processing the fact that, in number 8230, it's worth pausing to consider the second and third order effects here. Beyond the immediate news, this creates ripple effects across the ecosystem that we'll be watching closely. New capabilities at the model layer unlock new possibilities at the application layer, which in turn creates new demand at the infrastructure layer. It's a compounding cycle, and each turn of the flywheel tends to happen faster than the last. That's what makes this moment in AI genuinely different from the hype cycles of the past. The underlying technology is actually improving at a rate that justifies the attention. The trick is staying calibrated, excited enough to move quickly, skeptical enough to avoid chasing things that don't deliver real value. That balance is what separates the teams making meaningful progress from the ones just making noise. This is exactly the kind of move that shapes where AI is headed and why staying informed matters. Now, this is genuinely interesting. TechCrunch AI is reporting on Odyssey. Director Christopher Nolan calls AI an obvious Trojan horse. What makes this significant is everybody knows the Greeks are inside. The implications here go beyond the immediate headline. We're talking about a shift that could reshape how millions of people interact with AI tools on a daily basis. And it's not just about the technology itself, it's about the workflows, business models, and expectations that get rebuilt around it. When a capability like this becomes widely available, it doesn't just improve what already exists. It makes entirely new things possible. Entire categories of software get reimagined. Processes that used to require specialized expertise become accessible to anyone. That democratization is one of the most powerful and underappreciated aspects of where AI is headed, and stories like this one are a window into how that transition is actually unfolding in real time. This is exactly the kind of move that shapes where AI is headed and why staying informed matters. And that's your AI news roundup for today. If any of these stories caught your attention, drop a comment below. I'd love to know what you think. Hit subscribe so you never miss a daily update, and I'll see you tomorrow.